Hello, students. Can you all hear me? Great. So, welcome to this webinar where we are going to see on what are the strategies to score 600 plus in NEET in the last 15 days. And today in the panel, we have three subject experts. We have Dr. Manu. Manu sir is a subject expert in chemistry and he is an author of textbook. Uh, and then we have Vinit sir, he's a subject expert in biology. And then we have Vinton sir, who's a subject expert in physics. So all the teachers over here today are going to give you, based on so many years of experience, what is the strategy and the plan for the last 15 days, and for the ones who are starting the session, how to study from day one. Both of these will be covering. Now, the program order goes like this. First, Manu sir will be telling you about chemistry, then Vinit sir about biology, and then Vinton sir about physics. And in the end, we will have question and answer sessions where you can ask your questions specific to subject or topics or on how to prepare, and we will give you the answers. All right. Firstly, I would like to welcome Manu sir. Thank you, sir, for being here today.
A very good morning to all of you. Dear students, I'm a chemistry faculty and I have an experience of around 19 years of teaching. This is my 19th year of teaching. I've been preparing students for NEET examinations and JEE for the past 19 years. I'm an author also. So I would like to emphasize on the aspects which will lead you to score 600 plus in NEET examination. See, if you want to score, really want to score 600 plus, it's very, very important to score like 340 in biology and 160 in chemistry, at least I'm talking about. So if you score 340 in biology and 160 in chemistry, so that makes 500 marks. Another 100 or 120 marks you have to score in physics to make your scores go beyond 600. And once you reach that benchmark of 600 or 600 plus, you'll be definitely ensuring your seat in some government medical college across Karnataka. So if I talk about the chemistry part, how to score good in chemistry, if you can see the slides. So I've made certain slides to make things easier for you. Now, in grade 11, these are certain chapters which carry a high weightage. So in grade 11 chemistry, you have redox reactions from which they might ask you questions like which one of the following is a redox reaction or which one of the following is not a redox reaction, or they might ask you the oxidation states or balancing of the equations in acidic or basic medium. Besides that, from chemical and ionic equilibrium, you can expect at least one easy numerical. Coming on to general organic chemistry, which is called GOC, you can be asked questions about the stabilities of carbocations, carbanions, or free radicals, or they might ask you the order of plus I effect, minus I effect, plus R, minus R, something like that. From the mole concept, see, mole concept is a real vast chapter, and mole concept has its importance in another chapter, which is the solutions. So questions from mole concept, you also come across in the solutions chapter in grade 12. So you can be asked questions on molarity, molality, density. They'll connect density with molarity and molality, and they might ask you certain questions. So you have to be thorough with the numerical part here in mole concept, chemical and ionic equilibrium, and organic from GOC. Now, coming on to grade 12 chemistry. Now, these are the chapters which carry high weightage. I'm not denying that the rest of the chapters, they are not important. See, the rest of the chapters are also equally important. But there is high probability of questions being asked from these chapters. So the first chapter is chemical kinetics. From chemical kinetics, they might ask you questions on Arrhenius equation. You might have heard of Arrhenius equation. K is equal to AE raised to the power minus EA by RT. There is another form of Arrhenius equation. Log K2 by K1 is equal to EA by 2.303R T2 minus T1 by T1 T2. So you might get questions on Arrhenius equation. Coming on to electrochemistry, They can ask questions on Nernst equation. E cell is equal to E naught cell minus 0.06 by N log concentration of products upon reactants. If I talk about D and F block elements, see in D and F block elements, they might ask questions regarding electrode potentials, about enthalpy of atomization, melting points. Then they might ask you a question about lanthanide contraction. Very, very important. Lanthanide contraction. Very, very important. I repeat. Then there are two more topics, KMNO4 and K2Cr2O7. Now, one thing I would like to emphasize is for entire inorganic chemistry, you have to focus solely on NCRT. But as you study biology word to word from NCRT, the same modus operandi has to be adopted for inorganic chemistry from NCRT. So whenever you are studying NCRT, inorganic, you have to underline the things word by word, word by word. Whatever is being asked, you have to, whatever has been told in the NCRT, word by word, line by line, you have to practice that on a piece of paper. Make some sticky notes, the reactions, the structure of dichromate ion, chromate ion, manganate ion, permanganate ion. So those all things, they are very, very important. Coming on to coordination chemistry, they might ask questions on isomerism, crystal field theory, calculating CFSE, which is crystal field stabilization energy. Then in coordination chemistry, there is an order of spectrochemical series. Spectrochemical series as in which is the most strong ligand, the lesser strong ligand, the strength of the ligands. They might ask you such questions, or from VBT, they might ask you hybridization, inner orbital complex, outer orbital complex, paramagnetic, diamagnetic, such sort of questions they might be asked. If I focus on organic chemistry, from organic, haloalkanes and haloarenes, see SN1 and SN2 reaction, that is of utmost importance in your PUC examinations, in your CBSE board examinations, ISA examinations. Now, SN1 and SN2 reaction hold equal importance in competitive examinations, be it NEET, JEE or Karnataka CET. So the order of reactivity towards SN1, the order of reactivity towards SN2. So you have to be thorough with those reactions. Regarding aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acids, all the name reactions, HVZ reaction, Helmholtz-Zielinski reaction, which you perform with carboxylic acid in the presence of phosphorus and iodine, then you come across another important reaction, which is aldol condensation, Cannizzaro reactions. So these all reactions, you have to be thorough with these reactions. Keep practicing on a piece of paper. You might be asked these reactions in a sequence of reactions. They might ask you such questions. A reacts with certain reagent, it gives B. B gives reacts with certain reagent, it gives C. C reacts with certain reagent, it gives D, and so on. Coming on to the next slide. I repeat, entire inorganic. Inorganic means periodic properties, P block, D and F block. It has to be learned from NCRT, solely from NCRT. So periodic table, try to learn the entire periodic table with the mnemonics. If you are unable to learn the periodic table, at least mug up the S block elements, which are on the left side of the periodic table, and the P block elements, which are on the right side of the periodic table. That will help you in one or two questions for sure in your competitive examination, which is NEET 2025. Now, this is a common order which I have written. Alcohol gives aldehyde, aldehyde gives acid. This is order of oxidation. So if you oxidize alcohol, any alcohol, be it ethanol, ethanol on mild oxidation will give aldehyde, which is ethanol, keeping the number of carbon atoms same. Aldehyde will get oxidized to give you acid. So if you oxidize ethanol, you'll be getting ethanoic acid. So primary alcohols, they give you aldehydes on oxidation, and secondary alcohols give you ketones on oxidation. Besides that, if I talk about the reduction reactions, two reduction reactions, very, very important. Clemenson's reduction in the presence of zinc mercury amalgam HCl, and then Wolff-Keshner reduction in the presence of N2H4, which is hydrazine KOH glycol. दोनों के दोनों reactions are very, very important. Clemenson's reduction and Wolff-Keshner reduction. And in both the reactions, CO gets converted to CH2. You must be remembering. Next, double displacement reactions. See, whenever two salts react, they do that by double displacement. कोई भी दो salt. How do you understand that a particular thing is a salt? A salt is anything which is formed by acid-base reaction. So if I talk about KCl, KCl is formed by the reaction of KOH and HCl. So KCl is a salt. AgNO3, it is formed by silver hydroxide, AgOH and HNO3. So AgOH is a base, HNO3 is an acid, so AgNO3 is a salt. So whenever two salts will react, double displacement will occur, as I have demonstrated in the slide. Chloride ion will go to silver ion, nitrate ion will go to potassium ion, so you'll end up getting AgCl and KNO3. Then you have to make flashcards, mind maps. But keep writing on a piece of paper that this reacts with this, forms this. This reacts with this, forms this. This reacts with this, forms this. All the name reactions, be it carbylamine reaction, Riemann-Tiemann reaction, Stephens reduction, Rosenman reduction, everything should be on your tips. Then you have to mug up atomic numbers from 1 to 30. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, and so on till 30, till zinc. You have to mug up all the atomic numbers. That will help you in solving number of questions regarding ionization energy or electronic configuration or magnetic moment. Remember the formula of magnetic moment. If you remember, it's under root n plus 2 Bohr magneton. Then in inorganic chemistry, you have to figure out ways to retain inorganic chemistry. I want to tell you that entire inorganic chemistry is not ratta. It is not cramming, solely cramming. It's a science which can be understood, which can be dealt with understanding. So try to figure out those ways to retain the reactions. Now, these are the general recommendations while attempting your NEET 2025. However smart you may be, however interest you may be having in your physics or chemistry, but remember the backbone of NEET 2025 will be biology. So you have to attempt biology first, followed by chemistry and then physics. If you don't get answer to a certain question, you don't have to waste time on that particular question. Skip that question and move ahead. And come back to that question whenever you end up with a particular section of the NEET examination. Then you have to control your anxiety and nervous levels. See, you have to hold your nerves. If you'll be anxious, definitely you'll end up making some serious mistakes and you'll lose some good marks or grades in your NEET 2025. So please kindly don't do that. Stick to NCRT, especially for inorganic chemistry. Different orders, bond dissociation energies, atomic radii, electrode potentials. Stick to NCRT for inorganic chemistry, D and F block, P block, even biomolecules. Please stick to NCRT. Then focus on chapters like biomolecules. Now, children, they just skip biomolecules and qualitative chemistry part, which has been added by the NEET examination authority, which is NTA, in the recent past. So qualitative chemistry, a small patch of qualitative chemistry has been given in NCRT 11th grade in the chapter purification. I agree. But then there's a sheet of qualitative chemistry which is available at ncrt.nic.in. So systematic qualitative chemistry, that sheet is very, very important. It has been issued by NCRT only, and questions from that sheet has been asked in JEE mains this year. So you might get certain questions on qualitative chemistry. So please don't skip that part. I repeat, it's not given entirely in NCRT. You have to get that sheet. Go to the site ncrt.nic.in. There's a bundle of pages by the name Systematic Qualitative Analysis. You have to focus on those sheets and mark those up. The colors of the precipitates, how those reactions are occurring, identification of various cations and various anions, which are given in the syllabus for NEET 2025. So I hope if you follow my recommendations, definitely you are going to score 160 plus in chemistry in NEET 2025. I hope my session was helpful to you. Thanks very much for being with me.
So now we have Vineet sir, our biology expert, subject expert, who will be sharing the strategy for biology.
A very good morning to all of you, dear students. I hope I am audible to you. Okay, if I'm audible, I'll go forward. I'm working as faculty of zoology at St. Mary's ISC, and I've been in the field of teaching for last 13 years, and I've been training students for various competitive exams like NEET and Olympiads and IAT, etc. So, what is the last 15 days strategy? Provided that you have worked hard and you have sat for 2 years of your formal classroom lectures, etc., how can you strategize in these last 15 days and maximize this days available for the preparation? Okay, so in biology your aim should be score to score minimum 310. Minimum means you should not go less than that, but the maximum score, there's no limit. You can even score 360 because you know that students have been scoring 360 in biology and toppers are scoring 360. Even students who are not scoring that well in physics or chemistry maybe are scoring in 360 in biology. So it is possible. Let's see what are the strategies you can use to enhance your scores in the last 15 days. If you're in 250, how to become 300 or get 300. If you're in 300, how to make it 350, 360s, which is achievable. Okay. So high weightage units, these are the students, please make a note. Anyways, we'll be sharing this presentation to you at the end of the webinar. But these are the highest weightage units from the first and second PUC. Genetics and evolution has three chapters, molecular base of inheritance, principles of inheritance, and evolution, which carries 15 to 18 percentage of weightage in NEET 2025. Means about 15 questions can easily come. 15 questions into 460 marks in the NEET 2025 is just from genetics and evolution. Similarly, human physiology from first PUC, of course, six chapters, but every chapter has 2 to 3 marks or three questions, 2 to 3 questions every time coming from every chapter from human physiology. Concept based chapters, it's very easy to score from this if you're conceptually well. Cell structure and cell function, which has three chapters: cell and molecules and cell cycle and cell division. Very important unit, 14 percentage weightage, which means roughly about 12 questions definitely will come from this unit. Reproduction from second PUC is also a very important unit. Three chapters: sexual reproduction in flowering plants, human reproduction, and reproductive health. Every time they've asked at least 9 to 10 questions from this unit, from which human reproduction carries highest weightage. Anyways, I'll give you chapter wise weightage also in a while. Okay. After this, you go for the second set of units. Means these four units itself will fetch you easily. You can see over 50 percentage of your score, or let's say 60 or 65 percentage. Another 35 percentage is for the other units, okay, which you can see is structural organization for PUC, which has three chapters, that is morphology, anatomy, and structural organization in animals. Plant physiology, which has three chapters. Diversity in living world, which has four chapters. Memory based chapters, you can also focus on that later. And biotechnology, even though I'm keeping it in the second area of focus, but biotechnology, even you can place it in the first because there are only two chapters. Make a note, there are only two chapters, and two chapters fetch you 8 to 9 questions, means 9 to 10 percentage of your NEET score, which is equal to 60 marks. Means biotechnology alone with two chapters can give you a lot of questions right. Ecology and environment, of course, three chapters are there, memory based chapters. And biology and human welfare, you have microbes and human health. Microbes is completely memory based chapter, so you can practice those chapters towards the end. Okay, and moving on, chapter wise weightage. I've analyzed this based on the last 5 years NEET mains exam. You can see molecular basis of inheritance. As you all know, molecular basis of inheritance is one of the longest chapters in NCRT or the boards, and it carries highest weightage in NEET. Even in NEET 2025, there's a probability anywhere between 5 to 7 questions are going to appear even in this NEET 2025 exam. Biotechnology principles and process, about 5 to 6 questions. Last year, they asked 7 questions. Biomolecules, again, they've asked 6 to 7 questions last year. Human reproduction, about 4 questions easily will come. Structural organization in animals, where there's cockroach and frog and tissues, 4 questions. 3.6 is what I've given as an average, but 3 to 4 questions will come. Cell cycle and cell division, very easy chapter, about 3 to 4 questions again. Okay. Principles of inheritance and variation. There is about 3 to 4 questions going to come. Animal kingdom, memory based chapter, but it's easy chapter. About 3 to 4 questions will easily come. Okay. And also you have principles of inheritance, animal kingdom, photosynthesis, and biotechnology. All these chapters are very important. These are the first order chapters. By scoring here, you can easily fetch about uh, 50 questions, or even close to 45, 50 questions, which makes about 60 or 45 to 60 percentage of your NEET scores. Means just by reading these 10 chapters, you can easily fetch the 50 percentage of your NEET scores from this chapter only. Okay, then you can go to the second order chapters. Second order chapters. 1 minute. Yeah. So these are the second order chapters. You can have a look. Morphology of flowering plants, 3 questions every time. Sexual reproduction. Flowering plants, 3 questions. Plant kingdom, anatomy, plant growth, about 3 questions roughly. Human health and disease, 3 questions. Cell, the unit of life, 3 questions. Evolution, 3 questions. Organisms and population, 3 questions. And the least weightage, living world. Last year, they had not asked any question from living world. Microbes in human welfare, about 1 to 2 questions only. But the entire chapter is memory based. They can ask any question from anywhere, which microbe, what is the product, or what is the enzyme, what is the function of that. Such questions can be asked. Biological classification, of course, memory based chapter, about 1 0 to 1 question can be asked. And one more interesting data what I'm going to give you is, what are the most repeated concepts. Please make a note of this. Even if you don't make a note, you can take down later, because I'm going to share this presentation with you. The most repeated concepts include prophase 1 stages. You know that prophase 1 has 5 stages, that is leptotene, zygote, packetine, diplotin, dikinesis. Many students have a problem even in remembering those names itself. But if you know the meaning, Greek meanings of it, it's very easy. But if you are forgetting, you can even use mnemonics like Lata Zara Pani De De, means leptotene, zygote, packetine, diplotin, and dikinesis. Okay. And what are the events happening in each of these stages? Where does pairing happen? Where does recombination happen? Where is terminalization complete? Such questions have been asked. Match the following type of questions have been asked. Cell cycle phases. Cell cycle has 2 phases, that is M phase and the interphase. In the interphase, you have G0, so G1, S, G2, and also you have in the M phase, you have karyokinesis and cytokinesis. On that, 8 questions have been asked in the past 5 years. Okay, 8 questions. You can also expect 1 question from it, because cell cycle is a very, very important chapter. Small chapter, prioritize on that. Contraceptive methods from reproductive health. What are the different contraceptive methods? That is natural methods, IUDs, and also chemical methods, barrier methods, and also terminal methods. On that, questions have been asked. The favorite is IUDs, which are the types of IUDs, and pills and Saheli. Those questions have been asked 7 times in the past 5 years. Okay, and about algal food and pigments. This is from the chapter Plant Kingdom. They've asked what are the pigments present in chlorophyce, rhodophyce, and pheophyce. Chlorophyll A, B, chlorophyll A, C, chlorophyll A, D, and what are the storage food products, like whether it is starch or laminar in mannitol, or is it Floridian starch. That particular table also I'm going to show you in a while. Okay. Gel electrophoresis from biotechnology part 1, or principles and process. How is gel electrophoresis going to work? On what basis does it work? Based on the molecular weight or the length of the DNA. Who's going to move faster, and which end to which end, anode to cathode or cathode to anode? Like, you need to remember that particular concept. And which chemical is used for staining those, like, ethidium bromide. UV light is fast, orange color. Questions in asked 4 times in the last 5 years. Microbial products. As I told you, microbes in human welfare is a completely memory based chapter. 4 times questions have been asked in the 5 years. Which one produces statins, Monaskis purpurus? Which one produces streptococcus bacteria? Which one produces cyclosporine, which is an immunosuppressant? Uh, Polysporum, trichodermas polysporum. Such questions have been asked several times. So entire chapter you need to make like a sheet or memory sheet, and then write it. And next 15 days you will see it, and you'll never gonna forget it. Autoimmune disorders, 4 times questions have been asked. The autoimmune disorders are only three mentioned in NCRT. That is rheumatoid arthritis. There is also Graves' disease, and there is also myasthenia gravis. Except that, nothing else can be asked. If they ask you lupus erythematosus, sometimes they've asked in NEET, which is outside NCRT anyways. But on this itself, 4 questions have been asked in the last 5 years. And stamen bundles. What is monodelphous stamen? Example, polyodelphous, and on those type of stamen bundle types, questions have been asked 4 times. Functions of RNA polymers. You know that in prokaryotes, there's only one type of RNA polymerase, but in eukaryotes, there's 3 types of RNA polymerase. What is RNA polymerase? One does, two does, three does. 4 times questions have been asked. Just focus on that again. You have a probability, even this year, they may ask match the following type of question. Causes of biodiversity loss. There are four evil quadrants. Practice that. What is habitat loss and fragmentation? What is overexploitation? What is other causes of biodiversity loss, which is in the chapter biodiversity and conservation. ATP and NADPH and Calvin cycle. It's called C3 cycle, in which how much ATP is produced in one Calvin cycle. They may ask you 3 ATPs, 2 NADPH. If it is for one glucose, you need 6 times the cycle to happen. So 18 ATPs and 12 NADPH2 concepts are asked again and again. Okay. Decomposition steps, fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, and humification, mineralization. They'll ask the arrangement of these questions. Which steps are happening at the same time? The first three steps are at the same time. Same time. What are the factors which is influencing decomposition? If it is composed of lignin, it will take more time. If it is composed of sugars and high temperature and humidity, it will be faster. On those concepts, questions have been asked. Population interaction. What are the different population interaction? Plus, 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 minus, 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 plus zero, minus zero. On that, questions have been asked. Mutualism, commensalism, amensalism. Okay, very easy concept, but three times there is repetition in the last 5 years. Ecosystem productivity. What is the production? How much of production is there? 170 million tons. How much is produced by oceans? 55 billion tons. And what is NPP? What is GPP? Three times it has been asked. Homologous, analogous organs. Examples. What is homologous? Divergent evolution. Analogous, convergent evolution. Homologous examples, analogous examples. Who has ancestral common species? Homologous, different ancestors. Such questions have been asked. ECG. Damn easy. ECG, they can ask only what is P wave, QRS wave, and T wave. P wave is atrial depolarization, QRS wave is ventricular depolarization, R wave is, T wave is repolarization of the ventricles. On that, three times same question have been asked. Think about it. Okay. Concepts that you forget the most. This also I want to emphasize because students sometimes don't know what to read in this last minute, right? Because it's so vast. Biology is so vast that some students are not able to even comprehend the biology 2 years textbook. So what you need to focus in the last 15 days are these concepts which you're forgetting. So please make a note, students. You are forgetting things which are not concepts, which are memory based concepts. Memory means you have to use your memory and write it down and memorize it for mug it or whatever you want to do. You can use mnemonics, you can make a video, you can make a flashcard of it, you can make mental videos. Video means you can just play that video in your mind. I'm talking about just like make a movie, short movie of this. Okay, so I'm going to run through this quickly. So these are the things which you are forgetting all the time. Like for example, what is the family to which human belongs to? What is the class to which mango belongs? Such questions have been asked. But if you know this chart, done. Biological classification about examples of Monera, Protista, Mycota, their classes, phylums, whatever it is. Examples have been asked. When was virus invented or discovered? Who called it as contagium vivum fluidum? When was prion discovered? What is prion? What is virod? Such questions. Scientist names. What is the contribution of different scientists? That particular concept also. When was viruses invented or when was viruses discovered? When was prions discovered? When is virods discovered? All those can be asked. Plant kingdom. This is a very important table. I told you already several times this table has been asked in the previous year. Also, you need to remember examples of Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnospermae, Angiospermae. And if there's anything internally in that, there are classes you need to know. These are all divisions. And life cycle of plants. What is haploid? What is haplodiploid type of, or haplodiploidic and haplodiploidic life cycles in plants and examples you need to know. Animal kingdom. See, animal kingdom is much easier because you're able to imagine those animals which are around you. But plant kingdom may be a little difficult because many students say that plant kingdom examples they are forgetting towards the end, but it's not animal kingdom. But still, some students may have problem with animal kingdom also. This particular chart, what is the basis of classification? You need to know because they'll ask this chart in a way that they will not give, for example, they'll give it as A, they'll give it as B, they'll give it as D here. Then you need to know what is the basis they've used for this particular chart. Okay. And also vertebrata classification, they will not give you this, they'll give you A, they'll give you B here, they'll give you C here. Such questions have been asked. And this entire chart you should know. Of course, if you know the chapter, which phylum, what is the level of organization, symmetry, coelom, segmentation, digestive system, or maybe notochord present or not, you will know this table, of course. And all phylums of non-chordates examples and the scientific names, you must remember. Okay. Morphology of flowering plants is an easy chapter, of course, but what is going to bother you is examples, phyllotaxy examples, flower and distribution examples, plantation type example, what is basal, what is axile, okay. Examples. What is plant families? They've added five new plant families. What is their character? What is their estivation? What is their floral diagram? What is the examples? Bothers students very much. Morphology chapter bothers in plant families. So focus more on that because you write it every day, study it every day. You're never going to forget it on 4th of May. Otherwise, you may forget again plant families. Anatomy of flowering plants is easier comparatively because you just need to know what are the different layers in the root, stem, and leaf, and arrangement of cells. What is maybe endarc, exarch, such type of questions only will be asked. Structural organization also is an easy chapter, but remembering where is epithelial tissue, very simple, where is compound, where is simple squamous, very simple simple cuboidal, simple columnar, where is compound columnar, where is compound squamous. Such questions can be asked. Connective tissues also, where is areolar, where is adipose, where is dense irregular, okay, or where is other tissues. Anything can be asked. So you need to know location and function of each of these. Cockroach, of course, cockroach is easy for most of the students, but they may forget what is the difference between male cockroach and female cockroach. Many times it is asked, anal styles are present in. Students have missed it and answered it as a female. Only males have anal style, whereas anal style is present in both males and females. Position of different parts of the digestive system. Where is hepatic sac? Where is Malpighian tubule? Remember, H comes before M. So H is means hepatic sac is between foregut and midgut, whereas Malpighian tubule is between midgut and hindgut. Number of spiracles, 10 pairs. Where is excretory structure? There are four excretory structures given. Number of ganglia, position of male and female reproductive system. What is the segment in which male and female reproductive systems are present? Frog. Additional chambers of what? What is sinus venosus? What is conus arteriosus or truncus arteriosus? That is additional chambers in the frog. Brain and its part. What are the parts which is missing in terms of human brain? The parts, some of the parts are not there. For example, pons is not there in the frog. You need to know that. And midbrain has only two lobes, only optic lobes, auditory lobes are missing. All that characters you need to know. Cell chapter is, of course, not a memory based chapter, it's concept. Just remember diagrams of each of the organelles. If there's any discoveries, who discovered it, and if there's functions, what is the function of that? That will be asked. Biomolecules, very critical chapter. Even in chemistry, you face problem with this chapter because it's memory based. You need to remember this table. Okay, they have asked many time percentage of elements in human body. So sometimes I give you mnemonics to students like Obama changed a new car and he bought Hyundai Subaru and Nano and MG Hector. So just to memorize. So Obama changed new car means oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, calcium. That is the order. They've asked many times. Okay, you can also have mnemonics like that. And please memorize this particular page of NCRT where all the diagrams, what is probable in the NEET 2025 is given. Only from these, they will ask you the diagrams. They'll just give you the diagram and ask, what is this? That's all. If you know, you will be able to answer. If you don't know, you will miss out. And also percentage of different biomolecules in the cell and functions of these proteins and also all the secondary metabolite, very, very important. And enzyme kinetics, this has been asked several times. What is A and B? They will not give you A. What is B? They'll just point there A, B. They'll give you C, D. You have to know what is A. Activation energy without the enzyme, activation energy with the enzyme, protein structure, lipid structure, how many carbons in lipids, nitrogen based structure, nucleic acid structure, sugars, monosaccharide, glucose and ribose is given. You need to know polysaccharide, starch structure, or which is the monosaccharide in glycogen or inulin. You need to know enzyme classification, very important. Enzyme inhibition, enzyme cofactors, and enzyme factors affecting enzyme activity. Very, very important. Cell cycle. It's a very interesting concept based chapter, but meiosis one can bother you sometimes. As I told you, meiosis one stages has been asked. Leptotin, zygotin, packaging, diplotin, diakinesis has been asked several times. Photosynthesis, you have to remember what is Calvin cycle steps and what is energetic, and C4 cycle, which is in which oxaloacetate is formed instead of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and what is the enzyme pep carboxylase. All that has been asked, and what is photorespiration concept has been asked. Cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, which are the photosystem PS2, PS1, what are the reaction centers? Questions have been asked. And respiration in plants is again, you need to memorize glycolysis and citric acid cycles, electron transport system, what is complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, complex 4, complex 5, how much of ATP is produced, how much protons, all that you need to know. Amphibolic pathway also. Plant growth and development. This is also a chapter which is memory based. In this functions of oxygen, cytokine, gibberellins, abscisic acid, and ethylene, you need to know that one dozen functions, what each one does, because they'll give you sort of statement-based question. Then you will be thinking, oh, this is oxygen or cytokine. I don't know. You should not be in that state. Of course, human physiology is not memory-based. It's completely concept. I do agree. And there are some tables and charts you may miss out on. So I'm going to just emphasize on that. In breathing of and exchange of gases, lung volumes, many students face problems even after repeating NEET. They don't know what is tidal volume, they don't know what is vital capacity, they don't know what is inspiratory capacity, what is expiratory capacity. Each of that has a value. You have to remember, you have to write it. Means it's conceptual only, but students remember the values. For example, tidal volume is 500 ml, or vital capacity is 4600. They don't remember those values, so you need to do that. And also partial pressures of gases in different parts of the body, very important. Oxygen dissociation curve, many times questions have been asked. Rightward and leftward shift of or oxyhemoglobin distribution. What is going to shift it towards right? High temperature, high PCO2, or low PO2, or maybe proton ions being more, 3 BPG being more. All that. Reverse of that happens in alveoli. That you need to know. Body fluids, of course, percentage of WBCs. There's a formula like never let monkeys eat bananas. Never means neutrophils. That means lymphocytes. Monkeys means monocytes. Eat means eosinophils. Bananas means basophils. You need to know the percentages. And blood groups, who can donate blood to whom. And ECG, I already mentioned P, QRS, and T wave. Several times questions have been asked. Excretory products, I don't think there's much difficulty. It's all not memory based concepts. Locomotion, of course, concept based. Sliding filament theory is completely concept based, but bones or skeletal part in this is memory based. You need to know how many unpaired bones in the skull, how many paired bones in the face, how many unpaired bones, total how many bones in the face, total how many bones in the limbs, what are the joints of the body, what are different types of joints, what are different diseases. All that part is very important. Neural control, of course, it's completely concept based, but brain and its parts. What is the function of cerebrum, cerebellum, pons, medulla, midbrain, hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal? Very important. Chemical coordination, very easy chapter if you understand, but if you don't understand, you have to memorize. There's no other way, because hormones and their functions and the deficiency diseases you can forget. For example, which one is needed for RBC synthesis? Thyroxine, cortisol, and erythropoietin. Many students don't know that cortisol is involved in RBC hematopoiesis. Okay, so they will miss out. Mechanism of hormone action. How does lipid hormones act on the cell? How does non-lipid hormones? Lipid hormones are lipophilic, means they love lipids. They can directly enter and cause gene expression. They don't need secondary messengers. Which are the lipid hormones? Steroids. And who else can enter is all adothyronins, T3, T4. Except that, all have to produce secondary messengers. On that concept, many students miss, because they'll give you a question like following hormones produce secondary messengers, except, means which one is not having secondary messages? It will be lipid hormones or adothyronins. Such questions are very easy, but many students get confused. Second PUC also, we have some memory-based concepts in each chapter. For example, pollination types. What is anemophily? What is hydrophily? What is zoophily? What are the examples for that? Monocot, dicot, embryo parts. What is epicotyle? What is hypocotyle? What is other parts of the embryo? What is cotyledons? What is scutellum? Okay, non-albuminous and albuminous seed examples has been given in NCERT. Please memorize that. In human reproduction, completely concept based, but there is some memory based concepts like oogenesis, spermatogenesis stages, which are diploid, which are haploid, arrest stages in oogenesis. Many times have been asked, where is oocytes of the mammalian oocytes have been arrested in prophase 1, diplotein 1 till puberty. And where is it arrested until fertilization? Metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Menstrual cycle and hormone level changes. There's a graph about FSH, LH, and also estrogen, progesterone. That you need to remember. Monthly development stages means first month, what is the change? Second month, third month, fifth month, sixth month. Heart, when it develops, when is limbs developing? All those changes you need to know. Okay. Reproductive health chapter, of course, is an easy chapter, and you need to know what are the various contraceptive methods, as I mentioned, repeated multiple times. Years of MTP, when was MTP legalized? 1971. Family planning, 1951. Full forms of RCH, reproductive child healthcare, medical termination of pregnancy, IVF, in vitro fertilization, gift, gamete interfallopian transfer, ZIFT, ICSI, AI, IUI, IVA. All these full forms you need to know, because sometimes they'll just give you a statement, okay, where more than 8 blastomeres are transferred into the uterus, then it is not ZIFT, it is IUT, okay, which I have not put here, but anyways, IUT means intrauterine transfer or embryo transfer. Principles of inheritance, very interesting chapter, high weighted chapter, but you may forget phenotypic and genotypic ratios, and also what is incomplete dominance ratio. Incomplete dominance is 1:2:1 for both. Linkage, They've given two examples, yellow body and white eye and miniature wing. You need to know what are the parental and recombinant varieties. Yellow body and white eye genes are very close. White eye and miniature are far. That means in white eye and miniature wing, there's more probability of recombinants, 37.2. Here only 1.3 percentage of recombinants are found. Sex determination types XX, XY, ZW, ZW, ZO, XX, X0, ZW, Z0. You need to know. And also diploid type of sex determination in honeybees have been asked. Pedigree, symbols, and patterns of inheritance. What is the pattern of inheritance of autosomal recessive, autosomal dominant, X-linked recessive, X dominant? You need to know. In autosomal recessive, always parents will not be affected, but child will be affected. That means it's autosomal recessive only. X-linked recessive, always males are more affected, females are carriers. Autosomal dominant, there's any sex without any sex specificity, anybody can be affected. Autosomal dominant. X-linked dominant generally from father to daughter. So if you know that pattern, you can solve any of the problems. Molecular base of inheritance, of course, is not a memory-based chapter. Concepts, completely concept. But there are, of course, some things which is memory-based. What is the number of base pairs in Sykes 174, 5386? What is the number of base pairs in lambda phage? 48,502 or bacteria 4.6 million, humans 3.3 billion. Numbers can be asked. Different enzymes in DNA replication. What is the function of helicase, 2'-polymerase, gyrase, DNA polymerase 1, 2, 3. Functions of DNA polymerase in eukaryotes. I told you multiple times, repeated concept. Genetic code table. I know it's difficult to memorize. Okay. But you need to somehow at least know some of the basic ones. A, C, 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 G, 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 U, U, U. What is AUG? What is a UGG, tryptophan? Okay. Such things. Salient features of HCP, memory base. Oh, these are very, very important students. Many students lose marks in plant evolution and also evolution of vertebrates. You have to somehow memorize this. For example, you can also remember like sorry Sina, okay, sauropsids and synapsids. And Sina की पहली तरह से mammals आ गए, पेलिकोज और sauropsids mammals. And sorry किस लिए बोला तू कहता DCB के ऊपर तू कहता कौन देखते रह गए TLST. So something like that. If you are able to make it funny, you will remember it forever. Okay. So please make it funny and then you revise. If you memorize, just memorize, sometimes it may become boring. Okay. If you are good at it, do it. But some people are not good at just memorizing. They want something like an entertainment when they memorize. So make it funny. Give mnemonics. Make it your friend's name you keep. Whatever you want to do, you do it. But just you have to remember in the next 15 days. Okay. Chapter 7, health and human health and disease. All the diseases, causative organism, mode of transmission, symptom. Which one infects small intestine? They may ask you this time. Typhoid and Ascariasis, which one infects large intestine? Amoebiasis. So they can ask you such questions. Type of drugs, which is a stimulant, depressant, which is a hallucinogen. Okay, questions can be asked. Which system it is affecting? You know. Okay, microbes in human welfare. Complete chapter is memory based. This is one chapter which without memory you can't remember. Which are the microbes used in household products? Which are the industrial products which are used in making alcohols, etc., etc. You know. Everything is memory based. Biotechnology, of course, both are concept based chapters, but you need to remember the structure of PBR. You need to remember this where is ampicillin resistant site, what are the recognition sites in that. You can remember iota, here AORTA. Then you can remember like Pavan studied Pure, Do, Sal, and he got BMS. He didn't get MBBS because Hindustan ka education system is ऐसा है. Okay, so think about it. You make some mnemonics which makes you easily remember. Okay, so that's very important. And in biotechnology, you can have cryogenes, cry1, AB, cry1, cry2, AB, which are the organisms which is influencing that, or pests which on which it works, RNA interference, ADA deficiency. And from the last chapters, this is organisms and population, this particular chart. You know that tropical forests have highest rainfall, but also temperature is high. Like that, you need to remember this. And also adaptation examples, R value, who has what R value, what is R value for humans, they can ask you this time. You have to know population interactions, of course, I told you. Ecosystem decomposition step, biodiversity and conservation. What is the biodiversity in Amazon? What is the percentage of the species facing extinction? And examples of extinct species, you need to know dodo and stellar seeker. All that is being given. Latitudinal gradient species. Now they've given example of Colombia 1,400 species, New York 105 species, and also Greenland 56 species. What is altitude? All that they can ask. World summits, Earth Summit 1992, and Sustainable Development Summit 2002. How many countries attended? Such things can be asked. Okay. Those are some of the important things which you are ought to forget. Please pay more attention to that. Anyways, I'm going to share these slides later. You just go through it and just keep these things revising for next 15 days. In the exam, what to do? For biology, don't invest more than 60 minutes. Because if you take more than 1 hour here, you are going to lose time for physics. First, you start with biology. First is always biology because you're all good in biology. Because biology students generally, PC, MB students are good in biology. They will do good in biology, will easily get 300 plus. But time management also is important. Otherwise, you're going to lose on the other parts. Answer wisely. If you don't know the answer, just avoid it. Don't mark it on the OMR. And also one more important tip, keep the OMR marking towards the end because many of my students, what they do is they mark the OMR in the beginning. They will not be given a new fresh OMR because of which if you make any mistake in the OMR, it's done. Your this year's NEET, you're done. Means that mistake will be carried and you'll get the same mark. Stay focused, be mindful during the exam. And also very important tips, maintain your health because imagine you're eating from outside on the last day when you're just going to the exam. You eat some pani puri outside. You may spoil your stomach. So eat from home or hostel as much as possible and practice some healthy habits like breathing exercises, maybe or doing some yoga, which will also help you to keep your mind calm. Because many students are saying now that they can't focus. Their mind is saturated. They've been studying for 2 years, 3 years continuously. So stay focused. That's very important for which you need to have physical health and mental health also. Daily study strategy. Now think in 7 to 8 days you have to finish entire biology textbook. Means you already read, thinking that you already read NCRT textbooks. This is again you're reading it again, you're revising it. You already underlined your NCRT, thinking that you already underlined. Just read 5 to 6 chapters on the weightage basis, or just like that first PUC first and second PUC later. That also you can do. Weightage wise, this is better. Okay, and practice PIQs, solve problems which has been asked in the previous years because high weightage they may come again in this year also. Take mock tests every day, possibly every day or alternative days at least. Take 3 hour full test, physics, chemistry, biology. After that, 2 hours you have to spend on analysis of the mock test because there you will come to know what you read, you remember or not, whether you forget it or what's happening. You can even take part test if you have any access to any websites. You can take part test also. Whatever chapters you read on that day, that particular part test you take. And 2 hours you should spend for analysis because you will come to know your weaker sections. You can work on that weaker sections and then excel in that. And also practice tricky questions like assertion reason bothers many students in biology and multi-statement. If you're not sure, not read NCRT thoroughly, you will miss out on multi-statement questions. I'm telling you now itself because line by line questions they're asking every year. Exam strategy, I already told you time management and about negative marking and double check answers. Second time you come back and see again, then you mark on the OMR. Okay. Wellness during the exam is also very important. Sleep well, keep your mind calm, eat healthy, and do light exercises. And last, to wind it up, final preparation checklist. You make sure you have read 32 chapters at least minimum 3 to 4 times, 5 to 6 times, 10 times. Great. The more times you have revised, great. Revision means not reading, you're just skimming through textbook. One chapter may take 10 to 15 minutes only. Trust me, if you read well, one chapter will take you 10 to 15 minutes only. Mock test analysis is very, very important. Quick revision notes, as I told you, mind maps and flashcards for whichever concept you're forgetting, just write it in a piece of paper. Just see that every day for next 15 days. Your mind is smart enough. Your brains will create the connections, okay, to remember it forever. And mental preparation is important. Think that you already are doing good. Always give your mind positive thoughts. Don't say like, oh, I am not improving. My scores are going down. I may do worst. No, say that I am calm. Okay, keep your mind very calm. For which you may have to do some breathing or meditation also, which may help you. So, anyways, stay positive. I hope and wish all the best for all of you, and you all excel in 2025 NEET. And I stop it here, and I uh, pass it to Vinton sir, who is our physics faculty as well as he's a coordinator at ICSC, who runs a program called Foundation Course at ICSC. Over to you, Vinton sir.
Thank you, Vinit sir. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Good afternoon, students. I want to speak about how to optimize NEET physics performance. Now, if you go back 4 years in time, what you notice is physics was not that important. You could have, what I mean by not that important is this. You could score very well in biology and very well in chemistry, and you would score 500 plus, and that would get you the selection. But this, in the recent past, what you notice is this, that even if you score 360 on 360 in biology and 180 on 180 in chemistry, that would still be 540, and that wouldn't be enough. Not enough for selection also, right? That's what we noticed last year. Now, physics is important in that it will get you the rank that you require and also the selection. So, how do we optimize NEET physics performance? So, what we are going to go through in these slides is what we are going to explore is what are the high yield topics that we need to look into. What are some of the efficient revision methods, problem solving shortcuts, and exam day tactics? So, that is what we are going to explore throughout these slides. Okay, so uh, how do we navigate the final 15 days? What do we do? What are the things that we are going to face? What are some mental challenges that we are going to come across? So one of the key challenge would be this. This is especially true for students who have prepared thoroughly, but now in the last 15 days they want to prioritize their scores. They want to get the highest possible scores. So a key challenge over would be this: how do you balance thorough revision with selective focus? So now there is a tendency in you that you need to master all of it, right? So uh, how do we balance through this? That's what the first key challenge is going to be. And where should the selective focus be? What are the topics that we need to look at so that we have that focus? And what should be your objectives as you're preparing in these last 15 days? So, one thing that I would like to tell you is this: you'll have to sharpen your conceptual understanding. So, as you're solving the problems, look at the concepts, go through the concepts clearly, and reinforce formula mastery. Now, what might happen is you're solving the problems and you've forgotten the formula. Go through the formula sheet, look at that, and look at how the formula is applied in the particular context. Okay, and efficient problem solving skills. In a moment, I'll tell you what these efficient problem solving skills are, and how are we going to approach what should be our approach to attain these objectives. That would be to prioritize topics by weightage. So I'm going to tell you what are the topics by weightage, how should you prioritize them, and evidence based revision strategies. We'll talk about that in a while. Okay, so here are the high yield physics topics. You might notice that I have not written down the topics, but I've made a chapter cluster. So the first chapter cluster, this is in the order of priority that I want you to give to this my subject. So first chapter cluster would be mechanics. Now I've analyzed the papers of the last 10 years, and 18 to 25% of the weightage goes to mechanics. So what do I mean by mechanics? You can see the subtopics there in mechanics: laws of motion, work energy power, rotational motion, gravitation. So these are the subtopics, and weightage range is 18 to 20%. You can expect the same this year as well. And then you have about the same weightage range electrodynamics. In electrodynamics, the topics would be electrostatics, current electricity, magnetic effects, EMI, and AC. Now, even though the weightage range is same, why do I prioritize mechanics? Because mechanics, once you understand it clearly, and once you have a conceptual clarity, it will help you truly with electrodynamics, modern physics, optics, as not optics that much, but oscillations and properties of matter. So mechanics is the uh, foundation for all of the topics, at least most of the topics that are mentioned over there. So you can see modern physics, I've given the third priority there. Uh, in modern physics, you see dual nature, atoms, electronic devices, semiconductors, digital electronics, and all of those things, where the chapters are actually easy. So your easier topics, and the weightage is also quite high. So 20% of the weightage coming there. Now, if your preparation has not been 100%, I would ask you to ignore the last chapter, that is properties of bulk matter. here you have fluids, and fluids is going to take most of your time, and it's the weightage wise speaking, you're going to get one question from there. So when we think about the examination, I would only from the examination point of view, I would say that if your preparation has not been 100%, I would ask you to ignore the fluids chapter. Also, what I must say over here is, and this is oftentimes ignored, that is experimental physics. So this doesn't come under the NCERT textbook. You do not have it in NCERT, but experimental physics, you need to focus on your experimental physics. What can you expect there? You can expect vernier calipers, screw gauge, those kind of things, and questions might be asked from that as well. Now, having said all those things, go according to the priority, and these high yielding topics for you will truly help you out. So, of course, these slides will be available for your viewing later on. So, what are the effective revision techniques that we'll have to follow? The first one and the most important one is the formula mastery. Now, you have listened to 2 years of lectures. Your teachers have given you the formulae. You might have put them in a box. You might have written them separately. Go through those formulae again, memorize them, and understand some of the key formulae very well. You need to have a deep understanding of the formula as well. Now, the next thing that I'm going to say immediately is a caution. So, when I say memorize and you have done that rote memorization alone, it's going to land you in trouble. What do I mean by rote memorization? Now, if I talk about the magnetic field at a point due to a finite wire carrying current, so the formula goes something like this. It's mu naught I multiplied to sine of theta 1 plus sine of theta 2 divided by 2 pi r. Now, if you look at this, if you were to memorize this formula alone, the problem is you'll not know how the angle theta 1 and theta 2 is measured. Now, that's a problem because this formula will prove to be completely useless to you have you if you have memorized without giving it a thought. So what I would recommend is that you make a formula sheet and you also know the applicability of that those formula, how to apply this formula. That's important. So you can do that by going through at least 5 to 10 problems which involve that particular formula. Now, when you solve those 5 to 10 problems, what you'll notice is this, that you have understood how to apply the formula. And the point which I need to stress again and again is the focus on NCERT. So prioritizing NCERT textbook and exemplar problems is a must. Now, if you have memorized the formulae, if you have understood the concepts, please go to the NCERT textbooks, look at the problems at the end of each chapter, go through the exemplar problems, look at the problems there, apply this formulae, and see how you fare in this practice of yours. So, faring well in this kind of practice would prove to you beneficial in the coming NEET exam. Please do not ignore NCERT then. Now, some shortcuts and reasoning skills that you must develop to solve the upcoming NEET exam well. So let's go through this. So first one would be having a proper understanding of dimensional analysis. So dimensional analysis, I don't mean just the chapter, the dimensional analysis. Now suppose a question has been asked for you to find the magnetic field. Let's say that there is a formula there, right? So it's there is a context in which you're asked to find the magnetic field. Now, if you know the dimensions and you have been given 4 options there, if you know your dimension analysis well, you can eliminate the wrong options, and that's very important because it adds to your NEET examination kind of speed to that particular exam. So first one would be dimension analysis. So know your dimensions well. That will help you truly in the examinations. Second one would be option elimination. So might not know what the right option is, but if you know how to eliminate the wrong options, you've attained the same result there. So how do we apply? How do we eliminate the wrong options? One would be to apply logical reasoning, and first one I've already told you, that is dimensional analysis. What do I mean by logical reasoning? Suppose you have given a case of a simple pendulum, and you are asked to find the time period of a simple pendulum. Now, since you have gone through your studies, and since you have gone to your 2 years of physics study, you know that time period is given by the formula 2 pi t is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of L over G. Now, common problem with students is they forget where that G should be. Should it be in the numerator or in the denominator? This is going to happen, right? So you have some sort of logical questioning with yourself, where you can understand what it should be. Now, suppose G is in the numerator. Let's say that's wrong, but let's say it's in the numerator. Let's say you think that. Now, what if G is equal to 0? That's a case where you're in space, where G is taken as 0. So in space, if you keep the pendulum like this, it would never go down. So, but if you look at the formula now, T is equal to 1 over 2 pi square root of G by L. If you look at this wrong formula says that the time period should be 0. Time period means what? You have come back immediately. So that cannot be the answer, right? Whereas if G was in the denominator, what you'll find is if you put G is equal to 0, that is if you're in space, what you'll find is you'll get infinity. Time period is equal to infinity, which means it takes forever to go forth and come back. And that's the correct answer. I promise you, students, you can do this with almost all sort of problems in physics. You could look at them deeply, you can question yourself, and you'll get the answers. Now, you can attain speed with this kind of thinking with a little bit of practice. Coming to the third technique that we can use is proportionality reasoning. What do I mean by proportionality reasoning? Suppose you take an example of resistance. You know that resistance depends on the length of the conductor and inversely depends on the area of cross section of the wire. Now, suppose there is a problem which relates to, and this is a problem which has been asked in NEET exam. So, what if you were to stretch the wire to twice its length? Now, immediately students who are untrained in this would say, oh, length is doubled, so resistance also must be doubled, right? So that's not the case, students. What you'll find is if you stretch the wire, length gets doubles, but it's also if you look at the area of cross section, that gets halved. So this kind of proportionality reasoning, once you have it, it will be easier for it to answer the questions. Going to the last one and perhaps the most important one, that is equation analysis. Now, suppose you've been given an equation. You need to break it apart in your mind and see what exactly it says. This will help you truly in the chapters like oscillations, waves, electricity, electric fields and charges, and gravitation even, where you'll be asked to plot graphs. Not plot exactly, but choose the right graphs. There will be given 4 graphs to you, and you'll have to choose the right graph in the complex. So if you can analyze the equations well, what you'll find is graphing or selecting the right graphs becomes quite easy for you. So there are some graphs that you need to remember, like what is the graph of what does the straight line look like? What is the equation for a straight line? What is a quadratic equation? What are the graphs for the quadratic equations, and so on. So once you learn how to analyze these equations, graphing becomes easy. So these are some of the techniques that you'll have to be mindful of when your goal is to solve the problems efficiently and in as little time as possible. Uh, Going to the next thing, how do you hone your skills now? I've spoken about a few things where what should be your priority order for subjects and how you should study them. Now, how to properly hone your skills? The first step would be to take a lot of mock tests. Because what's going to happen, students, and this is a common scenario for me, I've heard it from so many of my students is that they have understood the concepts really well. They have got all of these things in order. They know the physics, and yet they score less in the subject. That's probably because you have not simulated the exam conditions in the classroom. So what you need to do is take a lot of mock tests, simulate the exam conditions, right? So know yourself well when you take this examination. So what is happening there? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So know them. You can only know this when you take the mock test. So the second part in this would be to solve as many previous year questions as possible. Now, given the limited time, I would say go back at least 5 to 7 years and solve these previous year questions if you haven't already. So uh, when you solve them, analyze the p-values. I'm not saying just solve it and leave it there. Analyze them. See what concept has been utilized to solve that particular problem. Under what category would you put that particular problem? Whether it's a conservation of momentum problem or whether it's a conservation of angular momentum problem, put it in the right context. See what kind of problems they have quizzed you on in the previous papers. So that will help you to understand the question patterns and you can target your preparation really well. And this is very important. I've told you in the mock test why you must take mock test. And here's the other reason. Time to practice. Practice problems under strict time limits. Now, when it comes to physics, you've got about 1 hour for 45 questions. So immediately that gives you a perspective on how much time you should spend per question. So it's slightly over a minute. Now, when you know this time per question, what you can do is this. Okay, if you're spending more than 1 minute on a question, then you need to go back to the concept and learn that concept again and see similar kind of problems so that you do not take more than a minute. So do this particular thing and that will help you with your problems. Going to exam day tactics. 1 second, students. Yes. Uh, Going to the exam day. What are the things that you need to remember on the exam day? That is again time management, which if you're mastered in the this one during your exam during your practice, time management again allocate the time wisely to the question. So if you practice that, it will help you out in the coming examination. Time management, which I've already spoken about. Second is strategic question selection. Now I've given you the high yield topics. You have studied them thoroughly, let's say. And now, because you've solved the problems from NCRT textbook as well as the exemplar, what you'll notice is that some of the questions, some of the topics are your high confidence topics, right? So what you can do is you can solve these high confidence questions first. Okay, go to the questions that you have not practiced or don't have high confidence in at a later time. So solve the high confidence questions first. All right, so some concluding uh, remarks. So what I've spoken so far is that you need to prioritize high weightage topics. So you know what those high weightage topics are: mechanics, uh, electromagnetism. Then you have modern physics, and then you have the other topics there. So prioritize high weightage topics. That's the first thing. Integrated practice, here solve PYQs, solve NCRT textbooks, solve exemplar problems, and make sure that your exam strategies are in place. And dual revision focus. Balance formula memorization for speed and concept mastery for accuracy and problem solving. So don't just go with the rote memorization, that will not help you. So also look at the concepts. And hopefully with all this advice, your face will be like this when you come out of that particular uh, NEET exams. Yes, students. Thank you. I hope uh, you've had something valuable to learn from this particular webinar of mine. Thank you, students.
Yeah, a lot, yeah. So, all right, students. So these are the tips and tricks to help you prepare for NEET exam. And if you've worked for the last 2 years and you follow these strategies, you can score 600 plus. We've seen personally our NEET students and even our NEET long-term students who've worked hard 2 years, and if you've done proper revision, they've scored 600 plus marks. Now, if you want this presentation, you can drop us a text on this message 7349494970, and then we'll send you the presentation as well. Now, having said all this, if you have any questions on how to prepare regarding any subject, so you can raise your hands on Zoom, yeah, and then we will unmute your mic, or you can drop a text on the chat box and we'll answer your queries. It can be as simple as how to prepare, what should the daily strategy be, anything, biology, chemistry, physics. We are here to answer your questions today. All right, so we have Pavitra. I think we can unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Pavitra, please tell us.
Where we take
Sorry?
this practice our daily mock test or
Yeah.
PYQ questions, practice questions.
When should you start? Is that your question?
No, where?
Where are the questions? Which subject?
Yeah,
I'll ask
yeah.
Manasar to solve this one. So the 10 questions papers, it's on the website.
Hello,
Yeah.
Pavitra ji. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
So, Pavitra ji, we have those question papers on our website. You can visit our website and practice those mock tests. We have exclusively prepared certain mock tests,
The link will be sent.
and the link will be sent on your personal ID. You can check the link has already been sent. Hmm?
In the chat.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The link is there in the chat. Yeah. Any more questions or queries from your end? Any of the candidates, if you want to ask any
Thank you,
question,
sir.
you're welcome. You're welcome, Bete. Any other questions or queries from your end? Other candidates, please feel free to ask. Okay, so I think you're thorough with the webinar. So if you have any questions or queries, you can contact at this WhatsApp number, which has been mentioned in the chat, which is 7349494970. So we'll be really happy to help you. And I think it was a great webinar, and we are really pleased to have served you in the best possible way or manner in whatever time we had. Hmm? Thanks very much for joining us. It was a real pleasure interacting with you all. A very best of luck for the NEET 2025 examination. Stay confident, stay blessed. Bye bye.